Yes guys, so welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be continuing the backtesting session on EURUSD. If you remember from last time, we were going from the beginning of January 2023 all the way up until the end of that year. So stick around until the end of the video. I'm going to be revealing my full trading strategy, risk management plan, and everything you need to know about how I trade. So let's not waste any more time. Let's head over to the charts now and let's jump right into the video. Alright guys, so thank you for joining me here over on the charts. So like I said, we're going to be continuing the EURUSD backtesting session. Last time we got up to the 17th of February. And we're going to go all the way up until the end of 2023, like I previously mentioned. So what I'm actually going to do here, we're going to remove all of the markings and we're going to start completely from a clean chart. So in terms of what we're looking at, higher time frame wise, last time we saw the price it was still overall in this bearish trend on the weekly time frame, and on a much larger macro term picture, we are still bearish. We've had this monthly breaker structure, price has pulled back. So I'm still viewing this as like a monthly retracement for continuations lower in the much longer term. But in terms of the more intraday time frames, we saw last time that price had come up, reacted from this sort of weekly supply zone and started to push away from it. We also were anticipating a potential reaction from, if we look on the daily time frame, even though we've had this reaction from this weekly supply, overall the daily time frame was still bullish. I mentioned last time that I was basically just seeing this as a retracement to take out some of these internal lows, tap into this sort of daily demand zone we have here, before then potentially looking for the buys to continue. Again, I'm viewing price overall in this sort of way and from this sort of perspective where we've had clear push higher, clear breaker structure on the daily time frame. This is just a retracement at the moment for a sweep of these previous lows in the trend for price to come down into this sort of daily demand. Last time as well, we went ahead and sort of refined this zone to this 4-hour demand zone down here. As you can see, that whole like daily demand is quite a huge area, which is the reason for me refining it to this zone. Last time price was still bearish on the 4-hour and hourly, and obviously the lower time frames as well. So if we just go ahead and mark on some of the structure that we currently have, we can see that last time price came up, grabbed these hourly highs, fell to close above, kept pushing down, and also broke into new lows. So what we're looking for here is essentially now on the intraday time frames, we're looking to capitalize on some selling positions. If price presents them back down towards this 4-hour demand zone that we have marked, you can see at the moment we just got this clear imbalance. You wouldn't expect price to react from this until it at least touches the next liquidity level, which is this 4-hour demand zone that we have. It also aligns nicely with the imbalance fill. So even if you're not going to see price completely buy from this zone back up to the previous high, you will very likely at least see some sort of push away. So one thing I love about this strategy as well is that even if you don't see a move like this back up to the previous highs and price does something like this, you can still look to capitalize on this move, meaning that you can be completely wrong about the overall directional narrative, but you can still look to capitalize on some of those smaller term moves. But anyway, let's get back to what we were looking at. So in terms of hourly structure, this is what we're looking at. Currently, I'm not seeing any clear POIs to sell from, so I'm gonna keep playing price for a second. So we can see here price has actually come up, sort of grabbed these highs, tapped into like this 15-minute supply up here. I don't think this is going to give us an entry though, because there's not any lower time frame structure. If you guys have seen any of my previous videos, you know I enter from basically lower time frame structure confirmations. In this case, you kind of have one on the 5-minute, but like if you were looking to enter this trade, this would be the area you'd enter from, and it's not going to give us a good enough risk to reward. So I'm not going to enter this. And yeah, there you go. So price broke into new lows without retesting that area. And like I said, the risk to reward for me would have been less than a 1 to 3 targeting the lows. So it's not quite a valid trade. But what we can see now is we can just look to follow this structure. Again, back down to that 4-hour demand. We have a decent range before price heads into that area anyway. Right, so this could be setting up quite nicely actually. So what I'm seeing here, obviously we still have this clear bearish trend. At the moment, price has not flipped back bullish. So what I'm actually seeing now, if we zoom in on this, we have this like 4-hour liquidity level, which aligns with this. If we look on the 15-minute, we have obviously this area that price is gravitating towards. What we've got to ask ourselves here is price likely going to continue selling before sweeping this liquidity level? Probably not, as there's nothing for price to react to. So this would be my next POI. If price can sweep this high back into the 15-minute supply, I'll be looking for sells. So let's see if that happens. There we go. Did end up sweeping that level, came slightly higher. Has it tapped into anything? You know, not really. We could see price now head higher maybe. Unless if we get a valid 5-minute structure confirmation here, I'm happy to look for sells. Currently, there's not anything going on in terms of structure confirmations. So yeah, looks like price is heading higher now. I'm still viewing this overall as a pullback for more sells. So let's look where the next level is. Currently, price has kind of swept this hourly high. So let's have a look how price reacts here. We could maybe look for an entry here. If not, the next sort of level would probably be this liquidity just here. But yeah, as of right now, you can see price has pulled back, swept that area of liquidity. So let's see how it reacts here. You're also kind of price traded back into this area of supply as well. So that's an extra confluence as well. So if we look on the 5-minute in terms of structure, hasn't really broken anything just yet. Actually, there we go. So price did break some 5-minute structure. This looks like market open on a Sunday, which it is. So obviously I wouldn't be entering this. I'm just going to fast forward to the next day open. As you can see now, price has kind of continued the momentum downwards. We've created an area of imbalanced supply. So for the first trade of the session, I'm going to set a limit on this area. Stops slightly above these highs for around 10 pips. And as for targets, I'm going to go for the trend low down here. Slightly more aggressive risk to reward on this one, but I'm happy to take it because of all of the confluence we just previously went through. Right, there we go. We are tagged into the trade. I'm also gonna just move this down here because you can see now price has actually given both a 5-minute and a 15-minute confirmation. On the 15-minute, it has flipped bearish. Very corrective pullback into the supply. So let's see how this develops. Okay, so that was actually a loss. Valid trade though, so nothing to worry about there. And I think there's a potential here that we were just slightly early. Yeah, I think our entry was just a bit early, I think. If we see how this develops. Yeah, so as you guys can see there, price just came up one more time, grabbed the 15-minute highs, and then broke structure on the 15-minute again. Came back up, held the supply, and broke structure again, just here. So yeah, overall, what I'd be looking for now is for this internal trend just to continue back into these previous lows. Maybe we see a pullback into like this sort of supply zone here, but now I'd want another confirmation in this zone rather than just entering straight from it. Yeah, there we go. There's nothing really there for me, so I'm just gonna keep playing price on. And yeah, there you go. So price did end up selling into the current trend low from that original area that we were anticipating, but we just got a slightly early entry, which is a bit annoying, but you know, it's completely fine. Overall on the account, we're still up 19%, so nothing really to worry about there. We still have a decent range before price heads into that 4-hour demand as well. So same process as before. I'm just looking for a pullback here to hopefully capitalize on some more sells. The next level for me that I'm seeing is maybe we have this hourly supply zone here, liquidity below it. So if price can push into this level, we could look to get back in on the sells. Right, so it doesn't look like price is coming back there now. And yeah, there we go. So price is now in that 4-hour demand. This is where we expect a potential reversal. So I'm no longer really interested in trying to get in on any more sells for the time being, unless obviously price breaks this area and then shows clear intent to the downside. But yeah, I think it's very likely you see some sort of reaction within this area. So if we head down to the M15 currently, price is obviously still bearish. So we want to at least see price flip bullish first of all before jumping into any buys. If I fast forward Asian session as well. Yeah, so there we go. You can see here, during London session, price came down, grabbed Asia low, just here, broke 15-minute structure to the upside, so it has now flipped back bullish. We can see it created an area of demand just here, and really for me, anywhere within this sort of region is sufficient to enter a trade. You could also maybe see it come back down into this extreme demand which swept the lows to the left, and actually at the moment this is the area that I'm going to set a limit on. And the thought process behind this is because there's no liquidity above this top zone, I think that top zone is very likely going to be used as liquidity above this lower zone. For this trade, I'm just going to target a 1 to 3 based on a mechanical TP rule. Right, okay, so it looks like price is actually just continuing up from that first zone we had marked on. But like I said, that wasn't quite valid for me because price didn't create any liquidity above it. So yeah, I'm going to actually cancel this limit now because price moved away without us. Next sort of level we could see it tap into, we have this whole like demand zone just here. I'd want to see another confirmation in this zone though. I wouldn't want to just enter from it via a limit unless it creates some liquidity above it and comes back down. Yeah, actually, so I like this. I'm going to set a limit order on this area. Stops just below it. As for targets, I think we can go for, if we look on the 4-hour, there's quite a few areas you could target here. And like I said, longer term, I think price is likely going to head back to this previous high. I'm obviously not going to target a 1 to 18. That would just be stupid. But if we have a look where it could maybe react from, we can maybe anticipate it reacting from this hourly supply to the left. So that's where I'm going to target. Just a small 1 to 3. Nothing too crazy, but decent risk to reward nevertheless. And thought process behind this is that on the hourly, we broke structure, created some equal lows above this area of demand, which was left imbalanced. So if price can push down into this level, there we are, nice reaction so far. So we've now swept the lows, I'm going to move my TP to the current high, as this is the opposing liquidity which I see price heading towards. Obviously as well, if you wanted to wait for a confirmation in this hourly zone, price did actually present one just here. So on the 5 minute you can see, clearly broke structure to the upside. If we can get some liquidity above this demand zone, I would enter from here if I was not in this original position. So actually I'm going to look to scale into this. So I'm going to set a limit here and I'm going to target again this current trend high. I'm going to place that order, see if it pulls back for us. Yeah, it looks like it got away from us, so I'm going to cancel this limit now. Wouldn't expect price to pull all the way back down here now, so you've kind of got to just kind of react to price. After it misses you like that, there's no reason to keep the limit there. If it came all the way back down there now, you'd expect it to just grab these lows and not respect that demand. But as you can see, our first position, the more swing position on the hourly time frame, did hit TP, so that was a nice start to the session. We're currently now 2% up for this backtesting session and 22.2% up overall. So what I would look for now, we've kind of broken structure again. So I would look for a pullback somewhere into this range. Maybe if we go to the 4 hour, you have this sort of extreme demand. So extreme demand meaning the lowest one in the whole range. So if price comes into that area, I'll look for buys, or if it kind of sweeps that area, that would also be valid for me. So yeah, you can also kind of see we've got this area at the bottom, which caused the change of character initially and swept some lows to the left. At the moment, doesn't really look like it's going to pull back. Let's just see how it develops. If it doesn't pull back to that area, we can obviously get in on maybe a new area, but yeah, at the moment it does look like it's pulling back. So there we go, price is tapped into our zone. If it breaks this area, you would expect it to maybe flip back bearish, head towards these lows, because you would expect that this current uptrend that we're in, this is the current higher low. If price breaks this and heads lower, then price has flipped back bearish and you don't really want to be looking for longs. But here what we can see is price has swept some inducement into this area. If it can flip bullish here, I'm going to look for buys. Currently I would need to see it break past this high for the confirmation, or for it to come down, re-grab these lows and then flip bullish. So yeah, let's see how this develops. I'm going to fast forward Asia session because obviously here in the UK that's overnight and I wouldn't be trading it. You can see now it did in fact break structure, flipped back bullish on the M15 and M5 as well. So yeah, what we can see now is price just gravitate back towards the current high. Because it is bullish overall, we're expecting it to, break into new highs, as that's what price normally does in an uptrend. So in terms of areas we could look to buy from, we have this area of demand which caused the change of character. I'm going to set a limit on this zone. I'm going to have stops slightly below Asia low, and I'm going to target the current trend high up there for around a 1 to 4. Again, not going for crazy risk to rewards. 1 to 3, 1 to 4 is enough. There we go. So price respected the zone nicely so far. Ooh, slight wick down. Okay, so we just got taken out. I think again, this is just going to be an example of when I entered the trade too early. it looks like this area is still being respected, and you can see like a clear wick up from this area. So if it breaks structure here again, I'll look for maybe a re-entry. Yeah, so that's annoying. I think we were just slightly early again. Yeah, there we go. So price is continuing up. As you can see, we're starting to form some more clear bullish structure. Next area where I would consider buying from would be this one that price has just tapped into. Or if it can come down and sweep Asia low, that would also be a nice trade. Yeah, so looks like it's coming lower actually. And yeah, like I said, the next buying zone for me would be this sort of region, but with confirmation. Yeah, so right, slightly missed us. A little bit annoying because we were correct on the overall direction and price did push up into the high from our point of interest. Our entry was just slightly early though, so slightly annoying. Price has now broken structure again, so still expecting more bullish continuations, but I'm now looking at some new POIs. Going back to the daily as well, could see a reaction from this sort of daily supply. I would be a bit cautious of that, especially now because if you look back on the 1 hour, this sort of bullish trend has become quite obvious. Normally when price like forms a clear demand chain like this and becomes a lot more obvious, everybody's trying to jump in long, so price normally reverses after you see this. And like I said, it is approaching that daily supply as well. Yeah, there we go. So this looks like a reversal rather than continuations. So based on, if we get rid of some of these drawings, based on this momentum, what I would actually look for now is for price to maybe come down and grab this level. That would be my next area for the buys. Not really interested in selling because my higher time frame bias is still overall bullish. So there we go, price swept that level. Keep in mind as well that it is still within this 4 hour demand zone. So as long as it's within this 4 hour demand zone, I'm still bullish and I'm considering buys. So if we can see a clear lower time frame breaker structure here, I'm happy to enter. And there we go. So you guys can see here, we came down, grabbed Asia low in London session, broke back bullish. So I'm actually just going to enter here with market execution because the risk to reward is already worth it. So if we have stops just below the low, and we can target for this trade, I'm just going to target that liquidity level there for around a 1 to 4. Market execution on this one. Okay, so we are in this trade. Let's have a look how it looks lower time frame wise. Yep, still looks good to me. I'm just going to play this on the higher time frame. Because obviously when I'm in this trade, I'm not going to be looking for any other trades until either this one hits stop loss or a TP. Looks good though at the moment. There we go. Price hit TP on that one. So yeah, what I'm expecting now, we can just look for more continuations back up into these highs. Thought process here is that price is holding this 4 hour demand that we marked on. Daily time frame is overall still bullish as well. We've come down, swept the initial buyers that caused this push up. There's not really anything for price to react from. You can see it's just kind of within this big imbalance. The next liquidity level was this one, all the way back up at these previous highs. So that could give us a nice opportunity to look for more buys up into that level. If we look at where price currently is, I'm going to fast forward the Asian session. Not currently seeing any new levels to enter from, but yeah, you can see price continues to push up, back up towards that high. So let's see if price can break it. There we go. Didn't really close above it, but we did get a wick above the structure. So what I'm looking for now is maybe a pullback into this area. Thought behind this area is that we had some liquidity just above it. Clear area of demand which caused this push up. So if price comes into this zone, as it has just done, I'm happy to look for some more buying opportunities. Still viewing price as bullish given we've had, you know, this huge push up. Very clear momentum coming into the market. If this level fails, I would expect price to maybe come back down into the lows again, seeing this as a sweep rather than a breaker structure. But let's just be reactive to price. Let's see how it develops from here. Again, looking for that 5-minute change of character. Oh, there we go. We did get it, but this looks like, yeah, Sunday market open. Obviously, if once you see a gap like this, it's not really ideal for trading because you can't see what's going on within this range. So here I'm just gonna continue to play price, and yeah, there we go. So price ended up just pushing up straight into the highs, not really giving us a clear pullback. Again, I'm going to fast forward the Asian session. Asian session again pushed up, creating new highs. What I would actually look for here, if price can start to pull back, there we go, I would look for maybe a sweep of Asia low into this gap just below. One thing I've noticed with the USD pairs is that when you have a gap up like this and price sweeps liquidity into the gap, that very often gives you a nice entry opportunity. I'm just going to mark on this structure as well. We can clearly see now price is bullish, very clear bullish structure in the market. Looking to take price up towards some of these next liquidity levels. So yeah, let's see if price can give us a valid lower time frame confirmation here. There we go. So price comes down, bearish structure. Once that liquidity level is taken out, price flips bullish. It created a clear area of imbalance with this area of demand here. So yeah, we can get a pullback into this zone. I'm happy to buy here. Stops just below that low, and I'm going to target these current highs up here for a 1 to 3. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's pulling back for us at the moment. Price came down, sort of held this area of demand that we have here. I wouldn't have entered on this area because price didn't create any liquidity above it, so it doesn't meet my criteria. And yeah, I would also cancel this limit now because again, you don't expect price to come all the way back down here if it is going to remain bullish. This is a slightly more riskier trade, but if we can get some buys from here, I would look to enter this trade. I'm just moving my stop to break even on this one. It's not something I would usually do, but like I said, this trade is more risky because it already has taken out the current trend high. So once it does that, you can anticipate it pulling back to sweep some of the internal liquidity, which in this case is our entry basically. And yeah, there you go. So price did in fact come down and take us out. That's fine because I didn't really want to target anything crazy with that position. Yeah, so what I see likely now is that price comes down, re-grabs this low. If it can do that, then that is the next POI for the buys, but anywhere above that, I'm not really seeing anything clear for the longs. And yeah, there we go. So this looks like another reversal. You can see clear bearish momentum coming in. So yeah, in terms of what I would look for now, I would look for a similar thing that happened back here where we came down, grabbed the lows into that 4-hour demand. You can clearly see price is kind of gravitating towards this current trend low. So if we can get a sweep of this level, I would look for some more buys. Again, I'm still bullish until this demand zone breaks. So let's see what happens here. There we go. Price grabbed that low again from the previous week. So this was also the previous week low. Tapped back into that demand. So again, we're looking for it to flip bullish here. There we go. So this looks clean. This is a perfect setup in my opinion. We've had clear 15-minute breaker structure, clear area of demand. This is a valid setup for me. I'm just going to set a limit, have stops slightly below the low, and for this one I'm going to go for a current high up here for around a 1 to 4. I'm actually going to make this stop slightly smaller. The thought process behind this is that if price breaks this demand zone, there's not really anything stopping it from breaking the low. So it's not really necessary to have stops all the way below this low in my opinion. The most logical place is just to have it below that demand. Now that price has also created some liquidity above the demand. So let's see if we can get a sweep of that Asia low into the demand. So you can see here, this would be London session. This is when we sort of wake up and see price. We have Asia low inducing that demand. So this would be a perfect setup for me if we can get price come down and tap into that zone. There we go. Price came down, grabbed all of these previous lows after flipping bullish and has tapped into the demand, as we can see here. Ideally, we can see price break this high as well. That would be a good indication. And yeah, there we go. So price broke the structure again. Clear bullish order flow and structure coming into the market from here. So what I'm looking for now is basically just for price. Again, you can see we just have this imbalance. There's not anything for price to react from until it at least comes up and takes out this current trend high. So we have basically a clean run all the way back up into that area. Next POI for a potential scale in would be this demand zone that price just broke out of. It's sort of like this consolidation before we have the push up, breaking the current trend high. So yeah, if we can get a pullback into this region, there we are. I would look for another confirmation in this area. Currently you can see price coming down bearish on the 5-minute. I need to see it at least break this structure for the trade to be confirmed. There we go. So you guys can see here, we had price flip bearish on the 5-minute. After it came down, swept the initial push away from the zone. This is one thing I've noticed with EURUSD in particular, is that when you have a demand zone or a POI like this, price will do an initial push, come back down, grab the lows before then breaking higher. So in this case, I would look to enter from this area because this is the demand that caused the change of character. Stops in this case just below that low. And for this one, I'm just going to get a 1 to 3. And because this is a scale-in and we are now risking 2%, I'm going to move the first stop to break even, just so that we only have 1% open risk at any given time. So let's see. There we are. We're tagged in. We have a nice reaction so far. There we go. So you guys can see as well, we've broken this current trend high once again. So let's see if we can continue to push. There we are. So scaling trade hit TP for 3%. So now the worst case scenario is that on this bullish move, we've secured 3%. We can't lose any money. And like I said, worst case scenario, we've made 3. But this looks very good to continue up into the highs. There's not anything to stop price from going all the way up here. Like I said, we just got this big imbalance. Nothing for price to react from. Maybe we could get another scale in here as well. Price has come down, held the extreme, swept some previous lows into it. If we look on the M15, same sort of scenario. London session pushed down, grabbed Asia lows, swept all of this, and currently still bearish on the M5. We would need to see it break at least this high. So let's see if it can do that. Right, so there we go. This looks like another good opportunity. We've broken that high. If I mark this on, clear momentum coming into the market as well from that area. So if we can get a pullback into this zone, I'm happy to buy up into those highs if we can get a 1 to 3. Right, so this is now invalid because price broke the current high without pulling back, which is slightly annoying, but oh well. Let's move on to the next trade. Again, these are your sort of like optimal conditions for trading because you've got clear momentum, clear structure, and also a clear target where we've got a clean run all the way up until this level, because there's not anything for price to react from until it at least comes into this high. So yeah, let's see how it develops from here and see if we can get in on another trade. Cool, so there we go. The initial trade hit TP for 6%. A bit of a swing position from the 16th to the 21st, so 5 days, including the weekend. So a bit of a longer trade, a swing trade position, but we also managed to get that day trade as well, like I said, from this demand. Price now has very clearly broken structure. We've closed above it. From that 4-hour demand zone, which we initially said, as you guys can see. I think I mentioned this previously as well, but like I said, one of the things that EURUSD likes to do is when you have an initial push from the demand, we discussed the case where it did it on the lower time frames somewhere in here, but when you have the initial push, it normally comes down, regrabs the lows, and then makes the move. I think the trade we were looking at on the lower time frame was this one in the demand. Price came back down, grabbed the initial push, and then broke structure. It kind of does this on all time frames. So yeah, next level I would look for potential buys. Currently, if we zoom out, would be this demand zone. You can see now price has kind of pushed up quite a lot. So we're definitely expecting a pullback. This is an area of liquidity that I'm seeing, and this is the sort of next demand zone that I would consider buying from. Price at the moment is very much in a premium, so you don't really want to be buying it until it pulls back slightly. Some levels where we could see it react from, we obviously have this supply that it has just traded into. Personally, I'm not really interested in sells at the moment. And then obviously you have this current, if we zoom back out to the daily, we have this current daily trend high. Actually as well, there is some analysis for the sells here. What I would do is, yeah, we have a potential sell-in scenario here because we could view this as a change of character, and then this just being a pullback back into the supply. If you look on the daily, it's also tapped into the daily supply after causing a daily break of structure just here. So if we can get some lower time frame confirmation here, I would also maybe consider some counter trend sells. Currently, you guys can see this would be the level you need to see it break. So if we can break that level, I'm happy to get in on some sells. So let's see if it can do that, or whether it wants to just keep pushing higher. Yeah, so at the moment it's just pushing higher. Re-grab the high. Yeah, there we go. So 15-minute flipped bearish. If we can get a pullback here, I'm going to sell. It doesn't look like we're going to get one though. Keeping in mind as well, this is the area where we are looking for longs as well, which price has almost traded into. Yeah, there we go. So no longer interested in sells. Price pulled all the way back into our buy zone. It is still overall bullish, unless this level breaks. If this level does break, then maybe we can consider some longer term sells back towards the lows. But for now, the bullish structure is still intact, and I'm still looking for longs. So yeah, let's see how price develops within this area. And there you go. You can see price flipped bullish here. If we go down to the M5, you can see we have price came down again. Typical EURUSD behavior, it sweeps the initial push, breaks structure. So after it sweeps the initial push, it then flips bullish. In terms of entry areas, you have this whole sort of demand here on the M15. So if we can get a pullback into there, I'd be looking to buy. Stops just below the low. And for this one, I'm going to target this sort of supply zone we have up here for around a 1 to 3.6. There we go. Price pulled back, tagged us in. Ideally from here, we see it push up and break the high. There we go. If you wanted a slightly more refined entry there, you can see that price came down and tapped into that 5-minute demand. Obviously, before that happened, we wouldn't have been able to anticipate price pulling all the way back down there. So I'm happy to really just enter anywhere within this range because the risk to reward was already worth it. There's no reason there's no logic behind waiting for price to come all the way down here to try and get a sniper entry when you could just secure 4% or so, just entering from this level right here. There we go, price is clearly pushing. There's not really anything to stop it from going to at least this liquidity level. Fast forward the Asian session. There we go, push above the liquidity. And yeah, longer term, I'm expecting price to come up into these highs, but I want to be out of the trade when price reaches the supply zone, just in case it does react. We can obviously look for another entry opportunity as well. But yeah, there we go. So 3.6% secured. Now we can look to jump back in the longs if price presents another entry. But yeah, in terms of the 4 hour, you can clearly see price has come down, grabbed all of these lows, held the demand, and it's now pushing back up towards those highs. So in terms of the next entry POI, I'm not really seeing too much. Maybe, obviously I'm going to react to price, but maybe if it comes down into this sort of area, which is your hourly demand, which doesn't look like it's currently going to pull back into. Yeah, so at the moment it's kind of, if we mark on the lower time frame structure, it's kind of came down, reacted from demand, broken structure, came back down, held this demand and grabbed these lows. On the 5 minute, once again you can see EU pushes up initially, comes back down, grabs the first push, and then on the 5 minute it flipped bullish again. We have a clear area of imbalanced demand, so I'm going to actually enter this. Not trying to think too hard about the trade, just executing according to the rule set. I'm going to have stops just below this area, and we're going to target the current trend high. So let's see if price can pull back here. There we go, we're tagged in. Let's see if it can keep pushing. Looks good at the moment, we just have this quite corrective pullback. Right, there we go. So that was a loss on that one. So yeah, what could we see price do now? Maybe, obviously fast forward the Asian session. Not seeing too much, let's just see how it develops. Damn, so that was slightly annoying. Another case of us just being slightly early on the trade. You can see that after the change of character, we should have actually been entering from like this 15-minute demand, which caused the change of character. We had liquidity above it. At the time I didn't see that, I kind of tried to rush into it, but again, that's completely fine because we are still up a decent amount. Right, so this looks like a good opportunity. You guys can see we've pushed up towards the high, haven't yet taken the high out. We've kind of formed multiple equal highs above, so I'm expecting price to push up into that level. There's not really any reason for it to reverse from here until it at least takes the liquidity level out. In terms of areas where we could maybe see it pull back into, it does look like it probably is going to gravitate towards this level down here. So the next POI for the buys would actually be this more discounted liquidity level on the 4 hour. Or maybe actually you have this area of demand on the hourly. So yeah, you can see price starting to react from there. Let's see what the lower time frame is doing. Hasn't yet broken any structure. There we go. It did kind of break structure, but it also reacted from supply, which sort of invalidates this trade for me. There's not really any imbalanced demand for the entry anyway, so if we keep playing price here, yeah, there we go. So price coming lower like we anticipated, and obviously the demand did not hold. So the next level we're looking for is this liquidity level that we have down here. There we go. So price took it out. Again, going back to the 4 hour, we can see that this level is the last internal liquidity in this whole range. If price does not react here and it keeps pushing down, you're then anticipating it to come all the way down into these lows. So if we can get a reaction here, and for price to flip back bullish, then I'm happy to buy. There we go. So you can see London session pushes up, very clearly breaks structure. In terms of areas where we could enter from, we have, if I just move this slightly, next entry area would be like this 5-minute demand. I'm using this one just based on the momentum that price is moving with. Like when price is moving like this, you don't expect it to come all the way back down to one of these lower levels, and if it does, your analysis is probably wrong and price is probably still bearish. So I'm going to enter here with stops just below that low, and I'm going to target for this one. If we go back out to higher time frame, I think with this we can actually get away with targeting these current highs, I'm going to have a slightly bigger stop just to cover the low. Let's see if price pulls back for us. Damn, so it never pulled back for us. I'm going to delete this limit now. Again, if price moves all the way up here, away from your entry zone, you're not anymore expecting it to come all the way back down here, unless it's going to be bearish, or if it does come all the way back down there and reacts from a new POI that forms, I would wait for another confirmation just based on how far price moved away from it. Right now, I'm seeing maybe if we can get a pullback into this zone. Actually, I'm going to set a limit on this zone. This is already valid for me based on the M15 structure. And once again, I'm going to target that current trend high. So thoughts behind this trade is that we obviously had our 15-minute change of character just here. Price left this clear area of demand. We've got some liquidity above it. There's no reason for me to wait for another confirmation for this. So I'm just going to keep the limit there. Again, though, it doesn't look like price is pulling back for us. Yeah, there we go. So slightly annoying. We never got a pullback, even though our analysis was spot on. Like I said, price came down, grabbed that last bit of internal liquidity on the 4 hour, which again was these lows, and now has pushed up into new highs. Still very clear bullish structure though, and this is, like I said previously, your optimal conditions to be capitalizing on some of these moves, because we have clear targets that price is gravitating towards and some very clear bullish structure as well. So if we go back to some of the more intraday levels, next POI we could maybe see is, yeah, you guys can see price came down, reacted from this hourly demand. For me, that wasn't valid because there was no liquidity above it. Let's just see how price develops from here. If we look on the 4 hour, I would now at least expect price to take out this level, because above that level you can see there's no liquidity being taken out, so you're looking for price to at least sweep some of this previous liquidity. Below that we have this whole sort of 4 hour demand, not supply. So yeah, and once again price very clearly gravitating towards that current trend high, so not expecting a reversal until at least that level goes. I'm going to fast forward the Asian session. Actually, I'm going to enter here. This was a valid trade. If price can retest that area, I'm going to be in, and I'm going to target the current high. Thought behind this is that we've come down, grabbed this low, which was the hourly supply zone, shifted bullish on the M15, came back down, held the demand, and now has started to push away. There we go, we've got a nice push so far. Again, what I'm doing here is essentially being reactive to price rather than trying to predict exactly where it's going to go. Originally, you guys saw we had this liquidity level marked, but once I saw price reacting from this, that is when I sort of shifted my idea, going with the sort of flow of price, letting it show me its hand and then reacting to it rather than trying to stay married to any particular zones. Let's see if this can keep pushing or whether it wants to come lower. Yeah, there we go. So that was slightly annoying. We had price went 2% in our favor, came back down. You can see where it reversed from as well, tapped into this previous liquidity level, then starts to sell off. I'm still seeing the buys here. As you guys can see now, it did grab that original level we had marked on, which was that 4 hour, this 4 hour low that we had right here. Clear wick up from this level. So yeah, I'm seeing two things here. Either we go from here and price buys up into the highs, or it comes slightly lower into the demand and we can look for longs there instead. But yeah, let's just wait and see what it shows us. At the moment, it hasn't broken any lower time frame structure, so I'm going to keep playing it on. Currently, I'd want to see it at least break this high. That's the most recent structure. Okay, so there we go. Price has come lower. Second scenario is playing out. So price is now within that 4-hour demand. If we go back to the 4-hour, you guys can see this looks optimal actually. We've had price came down into the sort of a discount of the current range, swept all of these previous lows, tapped into the demand. It's overall still bullish. So this would be a great place to look for longs if price can flip back bullish. There we go. So it has just done that on the M5. As you guys can see, came up, closed above the most recent lower high. If we can get a decent risk to reward, enter in market execution. I'm just going to enter market execution here and not wait for a pullback. So I would target, I think we can just target the current trend high on this one. So I'm actually just going to place market execution order just here. If you wanted to wait for a pullback instead to increase the risk to reward, I would maybe wait for price to come down into this imbalance and then have stops below the low. But like I said, the risk to reward is already good enough for me, so I'm not going to do that. And yeah, there you go. So price would have never pulled back for you anyway. And just kept pushing. So that was a good decision on that one. Let's see if it can keep pushing. You would at least expect it to head up into these highs. There's not really anything stopping it. Cool, and there we go. So TP hit on that one for another 4%. Textbook trade, price came down, grabbed lots of higher time frame lows, held the demand, and we got a lower time frame entry as well. So now simply looking to follow this structure back up into the current daily high. Again, between where price is now and this daily high, there's not anything stopping price from going up into it. So yeah, let's look for another pullback. Let's see if we can get in another trade up to that level. Okay, so price has broken that daily structure. We didn't really get a pullback up into it, but yeah, we can now get rid of this because this is the internal structure. We're now zooming out and we are aware that price has broken the main trend structure, which was this one just here. Keeping in mind that we are still within that weekly supply zone, and if we refine it, we have like this daily supply that price has just traded into. In terms of areas where we could see price pull back into, we have like a daily demand down here. But essentially when price breaks the main trend high, you're now sort of anticipating that price could pull back further or deeper into the daily range before continuing the uptrend. So based on the fact that price has actually swept this high into this daily supply zone, I'm actually going to look for a counter trend sell back down towards that daily demand. And the reason I'm comfortable doing this in this case is because we're already up a decent amount on the account. If obviously I was at break even or I was in drawdown, I would only be waiting for those pro trend setups and I wouldn't be trading counter trend at all. Currently I'd want to see at least the 15-minute flip bearish here though. Which it has just done, as you guys can see. We had price move up, 15-minute breaker structure here, and then it flipped bearish. like so. Currently, I'm not seeing any clear areas to enter from, so let's just play price on a bit. Right, so this looks good. We have this area of supply. Price created some liquidity below it. I'm going to set a limit on this zone. Stops slightly above that level, and I'm going to target that daily demand that we had marked. So let's see if price can pull back for us. At the moment, it doesn't look like it wants to. Yeah, I'm going to delete this now. You can see that instead price came up and held this area. Yeah, ideally I should have been monitoring price there, but I reacted to it too late. And there we are. So price has now come down, tapped into our daily demand. So if we just mark this zone on, we could see some more buys come back into the market from here. Overall, you can see daily time frame is still very much bullish. I was only expecting this to be a short-term move. So yeah, let's monitor for a potential buying opportunity here. We also have, I've just seen this 4-hour demand that price could maybe come into. But let's see how price reacts to this level. Very much still bearish on the lower time frames at the moment, so we obviously want to see something in terms of structure confirmation first, and obviously not just buy when price is this bearish. For me at the moment, this is the current structure that I want to see it break. In this case, because this was a daily POI, a 5-minute confirmation is not enough for me. I need to see at least break 15-minute structure. So let's just keep playing price. There's not much going on at the moment. Just consolidation at the moment, not really showing any clear intent. Looks like it wants to break that level, and yeah, there we go. So this is what I was looking for. That was the 15-minute structure. It's also the hourly structure, so you guys can see as well. Price on the hourly and 15-minute has now flipped back bullish. The next area I would look to maybe enter from would be this demand, but I would want to see some liquidity above it first, like that. It doesn't look like it wants to pull back though, so let's keep playing price. Yeah, so this would be my next zone. This is where I would look to enter from, but obviously we now need to see another confirmation. We don't just want to buy from this zone. There we go, price closed above the structure. I'm going to wait for a pullback into this sort of area, and we can look to buy up into the Asia high for around a 1 to 3. This was the change of character, by the way, I was looking at. Cool, so little loss on that one. And nice, price has come down into that second area we had marked. I'm not actually liking the look of this anymore. I think we could maybe come down and grab these lows. You guys can see we have like all of these equal lows, or rather these trend line lows. So we could maybe see price come down and do something like this before moving higher back into that daily demand. But yeah, I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm going to see if price reacts from this area. If it doesn't, then I'll wait for the liquidity level down here. Doesn't look like the demand is being respected at the moment. Actually, I'm gonna enter a buy here. Stops just below the lows. For this one, I'm not too confident on this trade, so I'm just going to target a mechanical 1 to 3. Reason for this trade, price was obviously bullish. It came down, grabbed that main 4-hour low. On the 5-minute, it already changed, it already flipped bullish. As you guys can see here, we swept these lows. I'll mark that on for you guys. We had this change of character, came back down, held the demand, and then started to push away from it once again. This should have been the entry, but I played price a little too quickly, so that's why we're entering market execution here instead. So yeah, let's see if price can keep pushing. Slightly riskier trade, like I said. Cool, so there we go. Again, one of the lessons that I think I said last time was that sometimes the bad looking trades, or the trades which you think look bad, will be the winning trades. So it doesn't really make sense to enter trades based on how you think they look. It just depends on whether or not your criteria is there. If it is, just enter the trade. Don't try and overthink it. On this one, we could have easily maybe targeted all the way up here, but I'm happy with that trade regardless. So yeah, guys, I'm going to end this session here. We got up to around 5 months of the year done, so almost half of the year. I'll continue this backtesting session next Friday and also next Monday. So keep an eye out for that. If you did enjoy this session, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.